Hi there, everyone. Rob here with today's Western Pacific weather update. It's currently the 8th of May 2012. We're going to start off down in the southern hemisphere where we have been watching Tropical Cyclone 19 Now, this storm did go all the way up to a tropical storm status and was even forecasted to go to typhoon status by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Now, I do want to note that was only the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. All other agencies out here didn't even really expect the storm to develop, and it does look like now that is exactly what is happening. It has been pounded by vertical wind shear. That's in this chart right here, about 20 knots from the north and 20 knots towards the south. The wind blowing in from the east, wrapping around this area, and that's why you see all these clouds kind of basically falling apart and pushing down towards the south here, and it's really just knocking off all the exhaust out of this warm core low, thus really just dissipating overall. And at this time, it doesn't look like it's going to develop any further. So it's still bringing some rain showers though across the top end of Australia. And these could increase going into your Tuesday and then even into Wednesday as this whole cloud mass does push towards the south. But at this time, though, it's nothing too significant, just a few returns coming off from the radar at Darwin. And lastly, here's just a quick look at warning number 2 for Tropical Cyclone 19 Sierra from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Has the winds at 30 knots, 35 knots is tropical storm status. Right now at 30, and it's expected to continue to dissipate as it slowly moves towards the south along the western periphery of an area of high pressure off here towards the east. So we will continue to watch this, but at this time it doesn't look like any significant development coming out of it. Now let's take our attention to the north here and go back into the tropics, but on the other side of the hemisphere where we do have an invest area. This is 99W moving across Mindanao today, and already seeing some heavy rainfall totals coming out of there, and this does bring the risk of some flash flooding. So anybody down in Mindanao that is experiencing this heavy rainfall, please do share your pictures and reports coming out across this area. It always does help in the making of these updates. So going to be continuing to watch that though as that continues to push off towards the west, really just following that whole easterly flow along the southern periphery of the Westpac High off here towards the north. So you are seeing these areas basically go due west before turning off towards the north, ending up here actually in southeastern China where you see all these areas in the reds. You've actually been getting a copious amount of rainfall just north of Hong Kong here last several days, and unfortunately going into the next several days even more rainfall along the Yangtze River could be expected here, so going to be a very wet one going there. But also want to talk about here in Thailand, there is flood warnings out there right now, especially along the west and into the north, and this is reflected on the satellite imagery. Lots of high cloud tops here blowing up during the day, and this is all really due to a low pressure area spinning here just actually around Bangkok into the Gulf of Thailand, and lots of convection continuing to come out of it as it slowly drifts off towards the west. But the Thailand Meteorological Department has put out warnings in this, stating this heavy rains are expected to continue throughout the mid part of this week, actually going into a Wednesday. So this could be bringing potential of some flash floods, also the risk of landslides into the interior here. But as this rain continues to run downstream, if you remember how we had this heavy flooding last year down into Bangkok, could all compile up in a similar situation, not as intense at all, but still a similar situation with these rivers starting to rise as that water flows downstream could happen yet again. So we will also continue to watch here as this situation continues to develop. So let's also stop talking about the tropics though and look off towards the north into the westerlies. We were talking about those tornadoes that occurred in Japan. Well, it does look like, at least going on into Wednesday, there is a potential of another severe weather threat. Now this is on Tuesday, and then eventually Wednesday here, and then this is Wednesday night. You see this new area of low pressure developing here just south of Shikoku. That could run off towards the north, but this is also a high resolution model here. This is called COAMPS, and unfortunately it only goes out to Wednesday evening at this time, but you can see all these areas in the dark reds popping up here across northern Honshu. Well, that is that clash of the warm air coming in from the south, that cold air from the north, putting up these thunderstorms. Yet again, all these areas in darker reds and purples over Honshu could bring the threat of yet more severe storms. I actually got caught out in one of these, but also even tornadic activity could occur yet again. Maybe not as strong as that severe tornado we saw yesterday, but still that severe threat will continue to linger through the week. But that is all for this time, everybody. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, as always, post them in the comment box below, and please stay safe out there. Just going to leave you here with this precipitable water vapor imagery, and it just shows how much moisture is in the atmosphere at this time. Does really indicate the remnants of that system moved over Japan yesterday and actually blowing up right in here, and also all that tropical moisture pushing in along the easterlies.